This next question comes from our friend Icy Mike from the Hard to Hurt channel. No, he didn't ask me this question specifically. He broadcast it on his Instagram page, and I looked at it, and I thought it was kind of interesting because I could kind of relate to it. Now, at this point in my life, I consider Mike a personal friend. I've met him, I've spoken with him, and yeah, man, really interesting guy. He said this: I hold grudges forever, but I don't act on them. I am beginning to think this might be the least healthy permutation. If I could just move on, that would be great. If I could bring myself to be petty, that might be even better than what I'm doing. If you ever effed up with me, he didn't say effed, he said the F word, man. I never forgave you. I never got over it. I am still hurt. I keep telling myself things like, be the bigger man, or kill them with kindness, or success in the face of doubt is the highest form of vengeance. I tell myself all these things that I would tell someone else with this problem. The things that I'm holding on to are so laughably minor that I should have been over them years ago, but I'm not. I have a beautiful, loving family. I have my dream job. I've become colleagues and friends with my heroes. I shouldn't care what some jealous, inconsiderate loser did to me years and years ago, but I do. I know they will never apologize. I know they'll never come around. I know they've convinced themselves that it all happened very differently than I remember it. I will not get closure. I have to let go. I worry about this. If it hasn't gone away by now, will it ever? So there's that question. Will it ever? So again, Mike didn't ask me that question, but a lot of you have asked me similar questions to this, and I think this is part of the reason why Mike resonates with a pretty large audience. Because martial arts is a pretty niche thing on the internet. It really is, especially on YouTube compared to other things like, if you don't believe me, look up like a makeup or skincare tutorial channel or a yoga channel. The most popular ones in there have tens of millions of subscribers. Music on YouTube, hundreds of millions of views, man. And then a guy who's doing well in the martial arts sphere of YouTube, like say Mike, has a few 100,000 subscribers. Not millions, a few 100,000. That's doing well, okay, in the martial arts sphere. So, why do I bring that up? So Mike is very relatable to a lot of people because he's got a lot of everyman tendencies, and one of these is his transparency about how he feels. I hold a grudge, a lot of you do. It's hard to forgive, as a lot of people understand that word. And forgiveness is often misunderstood, and I'm glad Mike is not misinterpreting the word forgiveness here. But forgiveness is often misunderstood to mean to excuse bad behavior, and that's not what it means at all. That's not what it means at all. Forgiveness is to let go of negative feelings that hold you back. It has nothing to do with excusing something that somebody else did. For example, if somebody murdered one of your loved ones, forgiveness, real forgiveness, would not be saying, it's okay, it doesn't matter. Of course it's not okay. Of course it doesn't matter. You can still forgive. That's not excusing murder. That's not letting them off the hook for an atrocity like that. That is letting go of the bad feelings that hold you back. Now, Mike's problem right here is he feels like he cannot let go of the negative feelings. And it's over some pretty petty stuff. Little things that happened a long time ago. And I understand this. I get it. I get it. I'll tell you a little story. I discussed this at length in my last live stream. Back in 2009, I went into business with this dude. I'll just say his name. His name was Silas. And it turned out he was not a very good guy. And Not just me, but a lot of people. He cheated out of a lot of money. He did a lot of despicable things. He drove our gym out of business. It was bad. A lot of bad things happened. And I resented that a lot. Every time I thought about this guy, I was just, oh, I hate this dude. So much anger, rage. And I kind of prided myself up until that point about how easy it was to forgive trespasses. And at that point in my life, I was like, this is not actually easy because he is so unapologetically despicable. Like most people, when they know they have wronged you, they will at least, to some succursal level, try to say, well, I'm sorry, bro. Even though that doesn't really make amends, at least there's some form of acknowledgement, and it is easier to let go when somebody at least acknowledges, I did something wrong, I understand you don't like it, sorry. Even if they don't pay back the uttermost farthing to you, it's easier to let go. But when they won't, when they don't, when they can't even recognize that they're in the wrong, oh boy. When they flip the script and try to gaslight you, oh, you're in the wrong, this is all your fault. And then it gets infuriating. When they turn it into a beef, when they try to destroy you financially, when they try to destroy your reputation, as was the case with me, you just try to let bygones be bygones, and they will not let it alone. They wronged you, first of all, then they add insult to injury, then they add injury to the insult, and then another insult to that injury, and they just keep going and won't stop. How do you let that go when it just keeps happening? Because again, it is very, very difficult to separate the man from the feeling, the action from the feeling, the wrongdoing from the feelings. We have to be masters of our own feelings. If we are not the masters of our own feelings, we have control over nothing. A lot of us delude ourselves into thinking that we have control over our lives. We're in control. I'm a successful individual. I've got all this stuff. I've got these things. I've got this education. I'm a go-getter. I can pull myself up by the bootstraps and do what I want with my life. I'm a strong, empowered person. And these narratives are repeated again in popular media, in movies. We're the hero. We're the protagonist in our story. But the honest truth is we have laughably little power, laughably little control. The only thing we really have control over is how we choose to feel about our circumstances at the end of the day. Everything you have could be taken away instantly. Everything. And this happens more often than you might think. I mean, every day, millions of people die. Every moment, millions of people die for all kinds of reasons. Everything is literally taken away from them in that moment, in this life. But it's more than that. When I was 21 years old, I ended up hospitalized, had this horrible gastrointestinal condition. I needed multiple surgeries. I was hospitalized for the better part of a year. My health was taken away. I lost 100 pounds of body weight. Not in a good way. I was so close to death. The pain, the agony, the suffering. Oh boy, it sucked. Couldn't eat anything, couldn't drink anything. I had to relearn how to walk, how to talk, how to do basic motor movements. Everything, it felt like everything I had worked for physically in my life up to that point was just taken away. It was gone. And then the cost of it, oh man, $250,000 in hospital bills after insurance. My money was gone. All my work was gone. And it was like Not just starting over again, starting from a deep, dark hole and trying to climb my way out without hands. That's what it felt like. And I realized I have no control over this situation, zero control over this situation that life has handed me. If we're using poker analogies, life gives you a hand. Sometimes it gives a couple of people a royal flush. Oh boy, look at all this prosperity I have. 'Cause I deserve it. Avoid that at all costs. That idea that you deserve your station in life, your position in life. You don't. What you deserve is how you feel about it. And how you feel about others. And how we feel about others is very much a reflection about how we feel about ourselves. And I will wax religious for a moment. It's very much a reflection about how we feel about God. There is not a simple, easy solution. I can't say some magic words to our friend Mike, for example, to just make him feel the way he wants to feel, to make the petty, the anger, the grudge go away. Man, I wish I could. It took me several years after this incident with this dude Silas who just bamboozled me, cheated me out of all this money, and this guy I thought was a friend just turned out to be my worst enemy. It was the worst, man. The sheer betrayal, the level of betrayal was so intense that how I felt about that, I could not let that go. It was... And at one point, a couple of years later, when I felt like, okay, I've moved on from this, and then at one point I was reminded of it, oh, all of those feelings came surging back. That's life. That's kind of a survival mechanism. We had this really bad negative experience with this person. This is not a good person to associate with. This is your body, your consciousness, reminding you, yeah, don't associate with that person or people like that. That will have a deleterious effect on your life. Don't do it. That's a survival mechanism. I know Mike is a self-defense guy. He's all about survival mechanisms. So take that for what it's worth. This is a survival mechanism. That is your soul speaking to you saying, hey, don't repeat those experiences. But at the same time, there is a desire for comeuppance, a desire to one-up the other guy, a desire for vengeance, etc. This guy did something wrong to me. He's not even sorry about it. So I will make myself more successful than him. And Mike tried that, and it didn't quell those feelings. Okay? I will kill them with kindness. This guy will be mean to me, so I will be nice to him. And it didn't quell those feelings, right? He's tried all kinds of different things. He seems like he's tried everything, and it didn't quell the feelings. Forgiveness is letting go of negative feelings that hold us back. So we've got to isolate what specifically are those negative feelings. Why is it holding us back? And Mike, if you're watching, I know occasionally you watch some of my videos, although you personally said, kind of boring. But from one friend to another, I'm going to ask you, what are the feelings that are holding you back? And more specifically, holding you back from what? We got to start asking the right questions before we can find the right answer. Anyway, Mike, all the best to you. Hope you can sort this one out. Thanks for watching. Now get out there and train.